welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Joining me in the studio today is my co-pilot, Jeff Harding. Jeff.
Kyle.
How are you?
I'm well. Yourself?
I am fantastic.
You look great.
Well, thank you. I feel good.
Yeah, you look a little taller.
Well, thank you for that, too. You just barely popped my back. Maybe that's why. I've been experiencing a knot in my back all day, and I think Jeff just took care of it. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
And thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure again.
It's always a joy to be together with you. So, Jeff, last night we had kind of a pretty cool opportunity.
We did.
We really did. As a staff, we went to Tuacon's production of Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I thought it was great.
It was an amazing show.
It was. It really was. Tuacon does a fantastic job. To anyone who has not had the chance to see a show yet, let me offer a hearty endorsement. They just do a good job.
Make that two.
They just really do. The acting and the production are great. The setting right in the middle of a natural Red Rock amphitheater is almost unbelievable. It's just a beautiful setting. Mm-hmm. Because of the setting, they drive cars onto the stage. They have live animals. This particular production had camels in it, actual camels.
On a Wednesday.
So it was awesome. Now, I've seen Joseph a number of times. This was not my first time. In fact, I would say that Joseph is probably one of my all-time favorite musicals. I really enjoy it. I like the music. I like the story. I like the message of don't give up. Times can be hard, but if you stick with it, you can overcome. I like the message of forgiveness. That's important. Mm-hmm. It's just a great play.
It is.
I really like it. And having seen several versions of the show, I have to say that this one was probably one of my favorites.
I agree with that. I've seen, like you said, 5 or 6 of them, and this was my all-time favorite.
It was great. Mm-hmm. It was great. Just a fun show. There was one part of the show in particular that probably got the biggest laughs. You probably remember.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
It was a tribute to the '60s.
Yeah, that's right. There was this section in the middle of the play that really referenced the classic television and cultural icons of the late '60s, early '70s, and they had everything.
Well, especially Laugh-In.
Well, they had Laugh-In for sure. They had Lawrence Welk. Mm-hmm. They had afros, bell-bottoms, psychedelic colors. They had the whole thing. It really was very fun.
It was.
And, Jeff, you obviously recognized
I lived through that, yes. I was there. And I remember it.
And you remember it. Awesome. Well, I have to admit, I was born in 1974. So while many of the references were familiar to me through reruns or just through the syndication or just the general cultural awareness, many of them I didn't really recognize having seen before.
Right.
However, even though I didn't get all of the references, I still thought it was great. It was very entertaining. I had a lot of fun. And just interestingly enough, my 2 teenage kids went to the play last week. They weren't there with us last night, but they went last week, and they didn't get any of the references. They didn't
right over their heads.
Yeah, except for maybe the bell bottoms. But other than that, they didn't get it. And yet they also came home saying this was great. It was very fun. It was very, very entertaining. So in other words, good comedy can transcend generations.
That's right.
And earlier today, Jeff, you mentioned to me, and I agree, that sports are also like that.
They really are.
Sports can transcend the generations. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. We all still want to hit that fadeaway jump shot. We all still want to feel that satisfying thunk when you hit a softball right in the sweet spot.
Oh, yeah.
And you watch it fly out over the left fielder's head.
Or at least over the pitcher's head.
Or at least over the pitcher's head.
At my age.
Maybe the second baseman's if you really hit it.
On a good day.
We all want to feel that way. We want to feel the thrill of crossing the finish line, hopefully in first place.
Or at least crossing
it. But at least crossing it, right? We love that. You don't have to be young to enjoy that. You can enjoy that at any age, and sports really can transcend many barriers and help bring us together. And that is what we do at the Huntsman World Senior Games.
Exactly.
That's why our job is so great.
And it's kind of awe-inspiring that young kids can come and see these older folks doing this stuff and realize that they can stay active for their whole lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. And today, Jeff, joining us by telephone, we have a gentleman who is engaged in that same movement. His name is Mr. Mark Riker, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Senior Games Association. Mark, are you there?
I am. I am so glad to be joining you guys today.
Welcome aboard, Mark.
I'm just sad I wasn't there last night to join with all the fun that you guys had.
We missed We really missed you, Mark.
show.
You would have loved it. You would have loved it.
Well,
So
I really would have liked. Yeah, I would have liked to seen you in your bell bottoms, Kyle.
No. Kyle only wears his bell bottoms at the office. He wasn't wearing them at the show.
I did. I did change to go to the show. That's true. Well, Mark, really, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. Mark has been involved in managing sports events for really most of his professional career. He's worked for the Alabama Sports Festival. He's volunteered at and attended 4 different Olympic Games. We know that Mark is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And I know that because Mark is an Eagle Scout. And on top of that, I consider him one of my good friends. So Mark, again, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, to talk to you guys and to, again, tout what you do. You've done an amazing job out there running the Huntsman Games. It's just a phenomenal story, really, going back from how it all got started. And that was part of what we did last year when we recognized John Morgan and a part of our Personal Best program on just the fascination. I'm sure people have heard that story over and over. It's just so amazing and inspiring, I think, that where it came from. Here's a gentleman in the 80s who decides wants to go to find a retirement community, finds a community that's got about 4,000 residents in it, and decides what he's going to do, and builds a golf resort, and decides that's not enough. We still got to do something else to draw people here. And then him and John Huntsman come up with the idea of creating the games worldwide to bring people in. And now there's a population of roughly 150,000 people now in the community.
In the entire community. That's right, in Washington County. So it's amazing.
Right.
It is amazing.
Your games are having 10,000 people. So your games are actually having more people than what the town actually had in population just a few years ago.
Isn't that amazing?
It's funny when you think of that.
Testimony to you guys.
Well, thank you. We enjoy what we do, and we hope that shows, and it is a great event. And we definitely want to get into that, and also talk about the National Senior Games Association and what that means, and how far-reaching it is, and the incredible effect that it's having on people all over the nation. But before we do that, Mark, we want to get to know you just a little bit as well. So just really briefly, tell us just a bit about yourself. How does a kid go from playing stickball in the backyard to the CEO of one of the most influential senior organizations in the country?
It's just been a fun journey for me after I got out of school, got involved with the Y, and doing that as an aquatic director and a swim coach. And through that period of time, just really involved the event side of swimming competition and team competition, creating events and running state events and regional events, and found out there was an opportunity for such thing as a master's degree in sports management. Went back and got that, and then from that period of time, I was in Alabama. There was an opportunity with the Alabama Sports Festival to just kind of pursue that on a full-time basis. And I did that and had the pleasure of doing that. There was primarily youth that we serviced. And through that time, I knew of the Senior Games, was aware of the Senior Games, and just then at a point, there was just an opportunity from talking with somebody that had said, hey, there might be some opportunities at the National Senior Games, and I just pursued it, and I was fortunate that things kind of fell in place. But I've just been very fortunate about people that have been around me, people I've worked with, but truly a lot of the volunteers and obviously the athletes and spectators that come out to the events that I've had a chance to be part of have just inspired me to want to be so involved in this. And I'm just very fortunate to have this opportunity now to be here serving for the National Senior Games Association.
Well, it is pretty awesome, and Mark has been involved with the association for a number of years. He came in as the director of sports and helped manage the sporting aspect of things for a while, and now sits in the commander's chair as the chief executive officer. And I can attest, as a member of the National Senior Games Association, that Mark is truly a visionary and is moving the organization forward and moving the movement forward, really, which is what it's all about.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life on Fox News, 1450 AM and 96.7 FM. Now, Mark, Kyle is on the board of directors of the National Senior Games. Can you give us a feel for what really is the National Senior Games movement all about?
Sure. I mean, our basic mission is promote health and wellness for adults 50 and over through education, sport, and fitness. And we really look at it from a multiple avenues. One, you have a competition that we've done for several years, the National Games. We have state games that are going on across the country that are providing events every year for individuals, and some states are running local events within their state. Some are running multiple events throughout the year, and that's what we want to see. We want to see more than just being a fact that somebody comes out 1 or 2 days a year to compete in a sporting event, to really inspire them to change their lifestyle, to keep their lifestyle healthy and fit throughout. And that's, by sending them messages, by keep telling them all the things that they can do as opposed to what people think they can't do. We run into a number of people that have started athletics and sports after they've retired. Had a whole career and looking for something to do, and at first don't think that it's something they can do. And when we explain to them, and it's our entire membership that's explaining to them across the country and getting people involved and making them aware that there is this opportunity for them, from novice to elite athletes, from 50-year-olds to 100-year-olds. It's just awesome to be a part of.
Well, I would submit that they're actually making a very strong statement that you can do it. I know in our event we hear people calling and saying, I had a heart attack, I had this problem, I had that problem. The thing that kept me going, the thing that kept me motivated was knowing that I wanted to compete in your event. So where it may have taken them much longer, they may not even have fully recovered from it. They're motivated to get out and try to get themselves back in shape where they could compete. Now, the state games, the local games, those are open events, meaning that anybody can compete. That's not quite the same with the National Senior Games. So why don't you tell us about qualifying for the National Senior Games?
Absolutely. An individual can go to a state event, and then it is open. It's not a qualifying. They can come and participate. It's not the worry that they have to be at a certain level to participate. You want to participate in bowling, you find out the information, the dates, and the register, and off you go. And then based on how you perform at the state event, allows you the opportunity to qualify for nationals. And it's based on placing an event. And in some sports like track and swimming, where there's a time, it's either by how they place or by meeting or surpassing a certain minimum performance time. So there are some different opportunities and different ways that individuals can actually qualify to advance to the national games. And what was fun in 2013, we had every state was represented. So that's always just a fun thing to do. And that's really, it's a national event because you do have people across the country. So that's awesome.
So you mentioned when you were talking about the National Senior Games several elements that go into the association, and we've kind of been alluding to the fact that there are state games out there. I think people might be surprised to know just how many or organized senior games there are. So can you talk a little bit about that and competition opportunities around the country that are available through the association?
Absolutely. Right now, 49 states have games each year, so it's an opportunity literally any place you want to be in our country. And then also we have the Golden Age Veterans Games is also an opportunity for people to qualify for nationals. So you have multiple opportunities throughout the year. And the thing that's great about it is that the events are really spread out. We have events that are being held in February and June and July and August and October, like the Huntsman Games, and then into November and December. So individuals, as you're even traveling around the country, we find that they have that opportunity of visiting friends and relatives, and they matched up with a vacation at the same time the games are going on, and they make that event even more exciting for themselves, that whole experience.
So it kind of becomes like a lot of people you found, I'm sure, kind of create a vacation that's just built around these sporting events. They go and they compete, they visit with family and friends, and then they might take advantage of the local attractions and scenery as well.
They really do. I mean, it's been fun this year. We've had an opportunity, our staff, to get out to numerous state games events and have that opportunity to engage with the athletes and our volunteers running local games and the administrators of the local games to support what they're all doing, because that's what's making everything happen. It all happens, at the grassroots, and they make a huge difference. But that's what we hear, and it's fun because even some of our staff have run into athletes. They were out at the California games, and then a few weeks later they were in Texas and saw some of the same athletes that were competing in both games. So you're absolutely right. They like to get out and have that opportunity to fellowship and have fun and fitness all at the same time.
So when you talk about a senior games movement, there really is a movement really all around the nation of active and healthy seniors who are getting out and enjoying life and really, taking advantage of opportunities to compete. And, of course, the Huntsman World Senior Games is a part of that, and we're proud to be so. If you're just joining us, you are listening to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life, and we're speaking with Mark Riker, who is the CEO of the National Senior Games Association. Now, we've kind of established that there's a bunch of opportunities out there to compete, and that those opportunities at the state level at least act as a qualifier for the national event. So, Mark, let's talk just a little bit about that national event. When is the next one coming up, and where is it at, and how could people get involved with that?
Fantastic. Actually, to give a little back history, 1987 was actually the first official games, national games, and they were held in St. Louis in Missouri and had about 2,500 athletes competing in those games. Our next games, which will be in 2015, July 3rd to the 16th, will actually be in Bloomington, Minneapolis, St. Paul, just kind of that Tri-Cities all together there as one city. And our anticipation of having over 11,000 athletes competing in 19 different medal sports during that time, July 3rd to July 16th. So we said an opportunity to get out there. You can hop on our website, NSGA.com. There's a section that talks about our state games. You can pull that down. You can then pick on any state you want and be able to get to their website and get their information as to what date their games are being held and how you can get involved. And we're just looking at people get involved and participate. That's where it's all about. Get involved and have a great time doing it. If you get an opportunity and you can qualify for nationals and can come, we'd love that. But it's most important that people are just getting out and taking the opportunity to get involved, because athletically wise, we're looking at people to get out and help volunteer, which I know out there at the Huntsman World Senior Games, you need a lot of people to help put this event on.
We do.
We definitely do.
People that are in the office. I mean, it's an army of people that need to come out and have a passion to help. And we were very fortunate, myself last year, to come out and firsthand witness what you do out there. And it was phenomenal. I mean, the hospitality, the individuals that were there doing their job, wanting to do it with a smile, always trying to reach out and help, was just a pleasant surprise. I shouldn't say a surprise because I knew that's what you do out there, but it was just so pleasant to see that you take it as such a sincere and passionate manner. So congratulations to all you do out there and everybody that helps put that on. It's phenomenal.
Well, thank you, Mark, and we enjoyed having you and some of your staff here last year. It was great to see you. Now, we believe, and I think you do too, but let's talk about it a little bit. Competitive sports, being active, being healthy, and even on the national level, I think that helps improve the quality of life for our athletes and even the volunteers. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, true. It really does. We've started a program, our personal best program, that really is trying to inspire people, through life's challenges and obstacles that they have, and what people have done to their communities to have uplift their communities. And by doing that, it reassures us that yes, some of these individuals, most of these individuals that have gotten involved with senior games in the movement, has changed their lives to such drastic measures. To a woman we met in Virginia, who in the time of her life growing up didn't have as many opportunities as a female to participate in sports, and it wasn't until she actually retired that she had her first opportunity to compete in sporting events, basketball, which is what she always wanted to compete in. And we recognized her because she also took the opportunity to create a league for other women 15 over to give them an opportunity to compete. So again, it's not so much that she had an opportunity. She created more opportunities for other folks. And when we recognized her last year, she literally broke down in tears and said that her life is complete now because she had an opportunity to compete, which is something she had always wanted to do her entire life. So that just has powerful messages. And one other quick story is a woman who was out of California who at 19 was legally blind and had 2 children. I'm just trying to figure out how is she going to manage through life. Became the first blind school teacher in Long Beach, California, and when she came to retire at 50, had to figure out what to do, and her doctor said, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to lose some weight. Well, there are all these things she could do, all these exercises she could do, and she didn't like them. The doctor said, listen, doctor looked at her and said, listen, what you need to do is you need to start swimming. And she looked at the doc and said, Doc, there's two issues here. One, I'm blind, and two, I don't know how to swim.
And frankly, those are two pretty big issues, Mark.
Those are pretty two big issues, right? Well, she tackled that, and now is swimming and competing. As a matter of fact, actually last year qualified and came to the 2013 National Senior Games.
That is impressive.
But the thing, again, is she went back and is inspiring others. She created her own foundation now to provide opportunities for other people to be able to get up, physically fit, because she sees how it has changed her life and how it has made her just so self-confident and so worldly about things that she can do that she knew she needed to spread that message. And that's what all of them do. They all know it makes a difference. And they're out there. Those are our spokespeople telling everybody else that it makes a difference. So I'm bought on it. So
yeah, we couldn't get better spokespeople.
That is for sure.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing for all of us who get an opportunity to be associated with these champions. Really, these are people who, in every imaginable way, are inspirational and are inspiring those around them. And it is awesome. So, Mark, you've been involved with athletic events and sporting events and senior events for a long time. Share with us maybe one of your favorite memories of some of these events that you've been involved with, particularly with the seniors. One of your favorite things that just stands out as, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, I tell you, there are so many interesting ones that have come on. Just the two I just explained were phenomenal stories too. And every time we've gone, I mean, you run into somebody different and has a different story about how their life has been changed. And I think that's the part that's inspired. There's so many of them that it's like you think there's only one or two, and then you talk to the next person, and then they tell you a story. And you get to the next person, they've got a story, and you're like, oh, my goodness. I mean, it's amazing out there. So really, for one particular one, gosh, they're tough. There's been some really fun ones. I've had some that have given us some pretty good comic relief too. Some of these folks are really are characters out there, and just have a fun time. And then you have the other ones that are so dead set serious about their training. I mean, they're very regimented. They have their own private coaches, and they have a nutritionist, and they may have a psychologist, and everything to train for themselves so that moment it's fine. But one moment I will say that was fun was when we were in Texas, is when I was sitting and they had their athlete banquet, and sitting next to a gentleman, we were just casually conversation, and he finally leans over and he goes, Mark, do you know that the world record for the 95 plus category is a lot lower than the 90 category? And I was like, well, geez, Hans, I didn't know what's the difference. And he told me the difference in the height. And then he leans back and he says, you know what? I'm jumping higher than that already. I'm doing higher than that. I'm thinking, higher than that? What is it you're doing? He was doing the pole vault. So here's a person,
wow.
At 95 years old doing the pole vault, training to break the world record. And I walked away, and the whole conversation, it didn't register for me. It was literally later at night. I was resting my head down. I said, wait a second. Did I just talk to this guy who's 95 years old? That's pole vaulting? And when I was 18, I didn't want to pole vault. So, I mean, unbelievable. So, and age, it didn't even register. Had no bearing on him. I mean, it was like he was 95, no big deal. And at the moment, I didn't either. I did not think it was a big deal until later on that I thought about it. And, just really fun, inspiring. And one last one I'll leave you with is we were just out in New Mexico 2 weeks ago, and we had a gentleman, 94, who took a challenge from his grandson when he was 90. He's a cyclist, to ride his bike 90 miles for his 90th birthday. What a great way to celebrate your birthday. How many people get up on their 90th birthday and say, let's ride 90 miles to celebrate our birthday? Well, that's what he did.
Mark, that is amazing, and that's all the time that we've got today. Time does fly when you're having fun. There's so many great stories, and it's been great to be with you. And thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to join us. And I hope you'll join us again another time.
Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Absolutely.
All right, I've got to let you know.
Thank you for all you guys do.
Oh, thank you,
day.
Mark. I got to let you know the registration deadline for the Huntsman World Senior Games is almost upon us. The last day to register is September 2nd, so don't delay. We're going to stay open through the holiday weekend, but now is the time. You can register right online at www.seniorgames.net. And don't forget to tune in next Thursday, where we'll continue to explore the active life on AM 1450 and FM 93.1 for those listening live. And a final thought for your day. Now that I'm getting older, I thought it was great that I seemed to have more patience. As it turned out, I just don't care. Until next Thursday, stay active.
Goodbye, everybody.